Looks like we're coming back online. That's sounding much better. Okay, it looks like we are good to go. So once again, happy Monday to everybody. Happy brand new week in the markets. It is May 10th, 2021. My name is Jared, and this is Engineering the Markets. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So as we did have a close of last week's candle, I want to go ahead and take a look at where we are in the charts. And overall, the structure here is still momentum bull, where we have a weekly strong push away from any sort of general dynamic support. We were able to hold in a consolidation pattern for about 2 to 3 weeks. And we saw a weekly close at or near all-time highs, closing above the previous consolidation range. So our weekly structure is contextually bullish. We did see a decent rally on Friday, and now we're going to facilitate the idea that as we are moving away from this range, can the market place more value higher, or is this once again sort of a test of these upper levels that will once again bring us back to that consolidation range or potentially lower? And as we look at our daily, we sort of get a sense of how that looks in the short term and how it looks when it fails. So we saw last week the volatility that the market was able to provide. And when the market consolidated tightly here, we saw this breakout that failed. We consolidated for an extra couple of days. We saw a breakdown facilitated mostly by the tech sector, but there was a general weakness during that time frame. And then immediately brought back into range. We held, and then now we're doing an upper breakout once again. What's different about this breakout is obviously there was time to consolidate. So market participants once again have been building risk in both the long and the short direction during this time. And on the first breakout, we have to assume that the momentum was not strong enough. It was a test. They tried to get out of that range and failed, and therefore brought back into a tight range, had some volatile sessions testing a lower support zone. And I would say we didn't even come to test it on the daily. So it showed even more general strength as bears were not able to even get to that next level. Brought back into support and ultimately closing at a new all-time high. And as we are opening around that new all-time high, we also have some elevated price action in pre-market, where we see that move away on Friday, and now we're getting the potential for sort of a shorter time frame trend to form. And we see that on the 4-hour, strong move away. I would say the 1 hour is more clear, as we have seen some support at the 20 moving average on the 1 hour, starting to lead into potential for a trend structure. When we look at our SPY, we know that throughout last week's session, there were sectors in play that were holding or still continuing their all-time high breakouts. And that's essentially why the SPY was able to hold as well as it did. Now, as we are seeing this new breakout of the actual SPY ETF itself, is every sector on board? Are we seeing sort of parabolic movement in some of the strong sectors, which so far have not really given us much of a pullback? And are we also seeing a return of strength in things that were weak? Technology, consumer discretionaries, and the like. Those are some questions we'll be answering throughout the week. It's obviously the first day of this new weekly session, and ultimately we want to just play what we are seeing inside of these index ETFs and sort of get a sense of where we can head throughout the week. Now, as we load up our volume profile on the 1 hour 30-day time frame, we see that the most recent range that we've come from is defined as VPOC. And this is going to be our highest value area that we've had in the past 30 days. Tons of consolidation was placed here. Lots of market participation was done in both directions. And just like we always postulate, as the market wants to break away from a range, we essentially want to ask ourselves, how strong was that range? How much value was placed there? And on the breakout, how far can we expect it to go given the amount of time spent? Given that, we're not necessarily coming from a large bullish structure, this is more of a flat consolidation range, we simply want to look for a doubling of this range. And that's going to be facilitated by sort of a low to high price range, defining exactly how wide that range was, and then assuming that an upper target could be led by a two times directional move if this breakout does have strength. To the downside, we do see that once again, as we have VPOC in this upper area, a loss of this larger structure would be met with some pretty volatile sessions, as we don't really have a lot of value that has been placed over time to sort of catch the knife on the way down. During last week's volatility, we did see that this low had been placed with some strong buying support. This shelf, we would expect a reaction if we were to come back down and test it due to the size of the value zone. And then we have our similar 406 shelf, which so far has not been tested. And we can see that on this session here, or these multi-day sessions here, where the market once again formed that range. Otherwise, we've had fairly nice trend structure, nice channeling throughout. We've seen some volatility in between, hence we want to see amidst that volatility, where are the levels that actually matter? and where are the places where we expect the market to react versus falling through lower volume pockets and maybe not seeing as much of a attempt at recovery if we were to be on the downside momentum at that time. So SPY looking very healthy at the start of the week. And let's take a walk around to see what else is showing some opportunity. We know that the Qs have been sort of a problem child in the past couple of weeks as they have led to some of this volatility. Oops. I wanted to go to the weekly chart. And structurally do not look the same as the SPY. So our Qs obviously were weaker last week. We saw that relative weakness starting to show itself as during this consolidation, not only were we not making the same sort of upper tests, but those upper tests that were done were met with a very strong bearish reaction. Essentially, the SPY was holding in, whereas the Qs were starting to threaten some of our support zones in these upper consolidation ranges. That led to the downside volatility that we saw last week, met with some strong bearish volume as well on those sessions. And just overall, the Qs have not recovered in the same way as the SPY. It's worthwhile noting that we did not necessarily break this lower range. You can see that here, essentially facilitated by this one weekly candle. This is a fairly large range, but we did consolidate it and tighten up the range as we broke out. We have not come back into this area, which is overall a good bullish sign. We did come to test sort of the upper portion of that range, and so far we have held. So yes, it is the weaker of the three that we like to look at, but it is not necessarily completely breaking down, nor has it really lost a lot of its bullish context. It simply has a little bit more work left to do to get back to where it came from. And once again, we can see that on the daily where we have this nice upper trend, horizontal support, the market was able to hold that over 2 daily sessions. And then Friday, we had a similar sort of gap up structure, albeit we did close an indecision on Friday as opposed to the SPY, which had a nice trend and breakout of all-time highs. At this point in time, we do need to remember that this upper range is still in play. We want the market to get back into this range, confirm that the lower range is once again support, and then start to test the upside looking for that similar breakout. At this point in time, I would say that this is essentially the weakest return to that range that we have seen so far. And ultimately, we want a little bit more confirmation before we can start saying that this range is looking once again bullish. But weekly structure is intact. Daily structure is okay at this point. And we certainly want to get a little bit more information before charging in, similar to the SPY, which has been a little bit more clear. As we get into our 4-hour, we see those reaction points here. Last week's session, that's sort of our double bottom that ultimately market was able to hold very strongly. The second reaction brought us back into this upper range. And you can see here as we're pulling back in pre-market, this is where the market needs to confirm that, yes, I was able to get back into the range, but now I want to see, is there a higher low in play? Is there dip buying bulls that maybe missed this and are waiting for confirmation here? And we see these reactions back in history. Essentially holding this general area is going to be a strong sign that the Qs not only want to continue higher, but have at least some potential to test their all-time high. That's going to be the key this week. Hopefully we see that throughout some of the strength we're seeing in the SPY. the Qs may just get some of that love and start to move through their upper range. Finally, as we get to our 30-day, let's see where our value sits on the week. We know that VPOC is sitting well above us. And as we saw last week, that move away from VPOC not only was met with a trending structure to the downside, but it was quite volatile as we don't have a ton of very large value support below. This market likes to trend away and on the return into those trending areas of our daily charts. There simply isn't a lot of structure defined at this time for the market to utilize and sort of return back to test the upper ranges. Overall, I would say that we're still back in the VA range. We do have a little bit of a shelf of value at 330. I'd like to see, once again, a test of that last relative high that was just made. Want to see this daily structure hold in these upper ranges. And ultimately, you can see what the downside risk is if we were to lose this area and start to fall back through. And that is, I guess, a little bit skewed by the fact I don't have all the data here. So let me make sure I'm reading that correctly. Yeah, the 4-hour kind of skews it a little bit, but overall on the 30-day, you know, our short-term support level is definitely this double bottom. As we fall back, if we were to fall back through, we do have some pockets of value, maybe a little bit more value than what's seen here, given that I don't have enough data to really show the structure of the volume profile. But our theme, once again, continues to be sort of an upward direction. The Qs are not necessarily the best structure for that. I think the SPY has shown that it has been more facilitative of upper moves, and the Qs are simply lagging in their technical structure. Now, finally, as we get to our IWM, let's pull it back to our weekly and see. I'll start to remove some of these trend lines. We see that the IWM on the weekly is holding our 20 period weekly moving average. We've seen multiple tests of this area, and so far, so good. Every time we've come to it, we've reacted away. We have not seen a ton of upper momentum, but we are holding this at this time. So short term, we know that this area is important. If the market were to lose this trend line, it is going to signal some issues with the IWM, as the lack of what's anticipated is showcasing maybe a loss of strength, a loss of dip buying support, and overall we will start to once again look a little bit more bearish, potentially coming to test the lowest point and therefore the lower range that the IWM has put in over the past 4 to 5 months in this upper range. So far, we have not seen those tests, but we have also seen not a ton of upward momentum. Now, on our daily, last week we talked about some potential of a trend line that had broken bullish. We could see that if we draw it back here. And while this area was rough, given that these trend lines are not always going to be perfect, we were essentially stating that if the IWM were to pull back and react somewhere in this zone, we would want that reaction to be strong, and we'd want to see a move away from this area, which would confirm a back test of the breakout, and it would confirm that this trend line is still intact. Now, as we were postulating this, I didn't necessarily bring things back to the weekly, but this test here was a third test of that 20th period moving average on the weekly. And so far, so good. We saw a reaction that was facilitated by some of the strength on Friday. And while it is a bit short to see how far this reaction is going to go, we know that this area is starting to define, once again, a range. We have our high, and we have a potential low that has been set. So the most important thing that we have for the IWM this week is this range. We saw a reaction where we expected it to be. If you're an aggressive bull, you were scouting an entry somewhere in that area, and you were positioning yourself based on confirmation signals that you saw on Thursday and Friday. And so far, you have gotten follow through. That is your reward for being an aggressive bull. At this time, we are still a bit hesitant on the IWM because in general, this market has done very little to nothing ever since February. We've seen highs, we've seen lows. Essentially, we are still in the middle area of the overall daily range. And that's fine. As short-term traders, there is opportunity sitting in between these ranges. But it depends on your style and what sort of signals do you need to get back into certain markets. Were you more aggressive on this entry? Or at this point, are you seeing this as, once again, sort of a short-lived bounce? You will see, once again, a lower high form, and we'll see that throughout the week. Somewhere in here, we would expect this to reject. And at that point, we'd be looking at this trend line once again and saying, why were you unable to facilitate a breakout? And, at that point, that would bring this market at risk for losing this trend line. So it depends on your style. Overall, there is opportunity in this area, but you do have to be patient. There has to be smaller sort of risk to reward potential, as this market is not super clear, not super bullish or bearish in either direction. And ultimately, it is somewhat dependent on some of our other index products. I think with a strong SPY, we finally got at least a decent reaction in the IWM amidst a full week of selling. There was really no support areas defined anywhere over the past couple of sessions. So IWM definitely has potential. Want to keep that on watch. We look at our 4-hour and we see moving averages are still a bit sloppy. That's been because the price action overall has been sloppy, but we got a reaction. Let's see how far it can go. And ultimately, we know the risk if this area were to be lost. This is the third test of a trend line. We do not like to see those trend lines get tested multiple times, especially if every time we are getting lower highs or less and less reactions off of them. That can show that that is starting to weaken, and there's a threat of losing that area. And finally, as we look at our 1-hour, let's see where some of our value sits. We know that this market has a very, very, very strong VPOC, somewhere around 221 to 222. It is essentially the middle of the range. As you pull things back to a 4-hour chart, you can see that even with 180 days worth of data, VPOC is still 221.50, which just shows how long we've been in this upper range and have built essentially risk and are just starting to bundle market participants all in this area, because that's where the market has been over the past 5 months. But short term, we know that this reaction is temporarily bullish. We've seen plenty of selling throughout last week's session. You could have been shorting or fading this market throughout, but we got a reaction. We're going to see how far and how strong a move away from VPOC this is. And ultimately, if we can really start to get moving, the potential that has been built over time in this large weekly, monthly range that we've seen, this potential is very powerful. if we know which direction it wants to choose. That is going to take some time, and we've seen plenty of false signals throughout. Ultimately, we're staying small. We're staying sort of conservative in this area, taking what it can give us. And ultimately, if it does fail, we do get out because we know the downside potential is large. We do not want to be stuck up in this range if this range is lost. It can show a much larger shift in the overall IWM markets. So with that said, these are our 3 areas of interest this week. We've had some nice price action last week amidst a little bit of volatility thrown in between. It has set the stage for some potential this week as things may be shifting once again back into IWM. The SPY still very strong, and the Q is playing a little bit of catch up amidst some volatility in things like the bond market. Now, last Friday, there was a very strong reaction that occurred during some of the morning session news, specifically, I believe, the jobs numbers. There was a lot of volatility seen in the 10 and 30-year yields. You can see the price action that occurred on these days and just how wild it was. Overall, you know, this shows just how volatile that one session was during that news. We can see that here as we had some of those initial reactions starting to be priced in, and that led to additional volatility in our trading product that we like to look at, TLT. So some volume and volatility starting to come back into the bond market. We can see that with things like ZB and ZN as well. A little bit more clear as to the size of this range. And so far putting in what could be considered a sort of trend reversal structure, albeit, you know, none of them have confirmed themselves yet. So these reactions did carry over into the general markets. If you look at the Qs, we did see some volatility in the early sessions last week. And, or sorry, I was pointing at the wrong area. Volatility in some certain, some reactions during that time. And what this is essentially showing is maybe there is once again some correlation being considered for bonds to tech. So in the coming couple of days, we'll continue to watch bond yields. We'll continue to see what is the reaction off of some of those numbers. Was it a one-time event, or are we seeing some follow-through? And if any of those do occur, what is the corresponding reaction in the tech and general QQQ sectors? Are we once again seeing rising rates leading to weaker tech? Or once again, was it a one-time event? So just something to keep in mind. As the market gives you this information, you need to determine, is it pertinent to your trading plan? And is it something that you want to keep on watch as it is under the scene, sort of under the hood, affecting the items that you may wish to trade or invest in? You know, those are key things that over time, we're trying to devise these correlations and see when they are in play and when they are not. The market is constantly evolving with those correlations. Most of the time they are short-lived, but there are periods of time where there is a very strong correlation. I would say some of the similar ideas still are in play with the dollar. We noted how the potential for a trend reversal needed to be met with some sort of inverse head and shoulders and a very clear support turn resistance. Lots of very simple reactions on the daily session. This is broken down. So far so good. We essentially said if the trend was going to reverse, it was going to be somewhere in here. We have not seen it yet. And if you are paying attention, we know that the gold and silver markets really like this dollar breakdown. We saw a ton of follow through last week. So congrats to any gold and silver bulls. We are starting to really put in some momentum into these markets. And ultimately, this giant trend reversal that we are postulating is really starting to come into play. So just wanted to say, keep an eye on these markets as the dollar is falling, hopefully losing some of the major support that we placed back in, looks like back in early 2021, around January. If we could really start to lose these lows and start to collapse throughout the dollar market, I think gold and silver will continue to have that strength and really start to push higher through some of the final key resistances that we're looking at. Obviously, copper, other metals had some nice reactions as well. I'm simply using gold and silver as sort of a proxy. We have a futures market to observe and a very liquid and sort of attentive set of market participants to facilitate the movement. So with that said, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. It's going to be hopefully another volatile week for us to take advantage of. And hopefully some of the signals are a little bit more clear as they were last week. Keep an eye on some of these key shifts that we're starting to see based on Friday's price action. And let's see what other opportunities exist for us out there as traders. So take it easy, trade safe, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Stay tuned for pre-market prep with Carlos and Norm.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope all mothers out there had an amazing Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And Norm, how you doing? How's everything? How's your weekend?
Absolutely. I'm doing all right, man. Hanging in there. Had a busy weekend with the family here and my wife and mother-in-law. So light and bright this morning, man. I like the yellow t-shirt. It's
Very
waking
bright.
me up for sure. Yeah, no, it looks
very,
good, bro.
very bright. This is actually my wife's t-shirt from work. She works at a campus here, university. But yeah, they gave these out. And let me wear something bright today. Start up the Monday,
Yeah,
nice and happy.
cheery, man.
Yeah. So guys, welcome. If it's your first time here, welcome to the show. Let's give a big thumbs up for Jared, starting every morning at 8 a.m. with Engineering the Markets. He's take us through the overall market. We'll touch base on any events coming up that are scheduled when Norm comes on for on the Market Pulse. Then after that, we'll start doing levels, looking at our gappers list, seeing what's going on there. We'll go over our community events and all that. And can't wait to hear from some of the people over that went to our Texas meetup. So Norm, I know you couldn't make it given the situation, but looking forward to hear from that.
And on that note, I just want to thank everybody that reached out. It's amazing. We use the hashtag BBT family.
Yeah.
This really is like a family. What I said last week, and normally something I would share with a large group of people, like I did, but this really is like a family. And thank you for
Mhm.
all the support, reaching out, and everything else. So it means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. All right, let's take a look here. This morning we have quite a bit in the green. As you can see, the SPY is up a little bit. We'll talk about that in a second, but quite a bit on here. A couple of names that we've been looking at in the last couple of weeks are coming up here. HRE, which has been, again, it's a low flow, but this thing has been wild. We'll get into that. And not so much in the red. So, okay, start for this Monday, for this week. Let's get into the overall market and what kind of events we expect scheduled throughout the week.
Yeah, man. Well, we've got no economic data coming out today, but a couple of significant things going on, and we'll see it in the overall kind of view when we look at this list. Jared mentioned some of it, and the two main things are: number one, a really surprisingly horrible jobs report that came out last week, and we'll see if that's just a blip or if something bigger and what's going on there. And the other one is fear of inflation. You're going to see a lot of names in here in our list as we go through here that are mining, basic materials, things of that nature. If anybody's looked for a home recently or building a home, you'll know that lumber prices are up like 400% in a year. Just ridiculous moves in some of these things. And it's not surprising, as much money as they have injected into the economy and as much liquidity that is out there and as many payments that have gone to people. It's not surprising to see some of that. The Fed has talked a lot about this. They're keeping interest rates low. They're trying to get inflation over 2%. They say it's transitory, meaning that it'll be fleeting and or here, but not persistent, and then go away. Well, you can say that, but we'll see if it sticks or not. So it should be interesting, and that causes the value of the dollar to decline. If I had to work an hour to buy a chicken to feed my family that night, maybe I can only buy 3/4 or 2/3 of a chicken 2 months later. That's significant, and over time adds up. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, we sure will, guys. And with that said, let's get into our gappers list and see what's going on there. So right in here, let's hop into what's gapping up this morning. LEDs. I'm missing a screen here. There we go. LEDs, this was active. This was active for the last couple of days last week. Been very, very active. Had a red day on Friday. Today they're up 18.2, 1 million shares traded. Again, low flow sitting at 2.4, but it's definitely a low flow that is in play. We've seen some pretty good pre-market activity out of them. A couple of days looked very good. Just again, as usual, anything under 20 million shares float, you want to be extra cautious. This is one of them. Already this morning, they're low around 830, 771 actually, low of the pre-market, and they're high all the way up 1160. So pretty nice range already. Not doing a whole lot since that pop very early on at 4:30 in the morning. Let's see if there's anything else that happens today. But they got great volume. Next, BNTX. This was gapping up huge, guys. 8.3. This thing has been on a tear. I believe that there was. I only know because I heard on the radio that they're opening up a new mRNA vaccine production. I forget Singapore. I think it's in Singapore. So that's got them going this morning quite a bit.
Well, they've got earnings too. They had earnings that came out that were blockbusters. So those two things combined.
I'm going to put these guys, this is not a low flow stock. It's sitting at 242 million shares, but you have to treat it like a low float the way this thing moves. If you look at the price range now, just in the pre-market, we're going from 194 to 203.
It can move a lot.
Yeah, it can move quite a bit. So again,
it's got that spread. I mean, right now the spread's sitting at 70 cents roughly.
Yeah, yeah. Anytime you see stocks move, I think this was the $40 move we talked about last week, right? 210 to roughly 170 or so. With just 12 million shares traded, you got to be concerned with that price activity and also that spread. So we'll put it on here. Not saying that it's not, it's definitely in play, but you just want to be very, very cautious with that one. CCXI, this one gapped down huge last week. Remember seeing that one. Today they're gapping up a little bit, 7.9. I do not like the pre-market action. Doesn't look very good. And also on the gap down last week, it didn't do a whole lot. It didn't trade very well. You had a one sell-off here that, again, if you look closely into this price action, it wasn't really all that clean. So just be careful with this one. I think today they might just chop around here trying to figure out what's their next steps after such a big gap. I honestly think they're not going to be in play today. So I'm just going to keep them off the list. IPOE, this one is gapping up 4.5, 203,000 shares traded. Just starting to get going here. Let's see. I like the daily on this. Looks okay. We got a nice little kind of double bottom here on the daily. It's okay. Got a lot of overlap here. The volume is a little bit lighter. Let's see. Let's see if today is going to do anything different than what it normally does. On Friday, let's take a look. I was expecting better activity, but it's just one big pop later in the afternoon here. You got this run up. It's not a really, really great action at the market open. So possible, guys. We'll come back to it. IPOE. We'll throw it as a possible here for now.
It wouldn't surprise me if Wall Street Bets gets that one moving, considering it's short float. That's one of the primary things they look for.
Yeah, 30% right now. So yeah, let's keep an eye on that one. See how that plays out today. Vale, V-A-L-E. Valet, yes. So you got it. You got it. Valet here, guys. This one is up 4%, 321,000 shares traded. Pre-market action looks okay. We traded this one in the past. It's okay. It's not great, but it can give you some moves. I'm gonna put it as a possible for now, just to see what we can get out of that one. But again, not a big fan of this one, the way it's traded in the past. AMC is up 4% this morning. Pre-market action right now looking okay, 793,000 shares traded. Again, it's a hit or miss with this one, right? We'll put it on here, up 4%, good volume so far. Not great volume. We've seen this thing trade millions of shares in the pre-market. We'll see what comes up next. FCX this morning, they are up 3%, 457,000 shares traded. Doesn't trade very well. The daily's not all that great. Pre-market is again just pretty much chop at the moment. It's not a great pre-market action. It is up 3.1. It's all-time highs. It looks like to be, yeah. So this all-time highs, maybe a possible. I mean, I don't know. Daily's not great. We'll see. Possible for now. FCX. Roblox is on here. They are up 2.8 this morning. Pre-market action not great, but a nice. They're trying to put in a nice daily here, coming back a little bit after being slammed the last couple of days. Again, just they're just flirting around their IPO price. I haven't really either taken off or really dropped down. It's just kind of really just going sideways, right? Which I guess is a good thing for IPO, right? Instead of crashing like we normally see here. Could be interesting. Let's put it on here, guys. Yeah, it could be interesting today. Roblox, BRBLX. Heading on down, we have BNGO, one that we have seen quite a bit in the past. Pre-market action doesn't look too great right now. This could get better. I'm just going to add it as a possible for now. We've seen this get nicer. Here's X. X been very active. I think X is going to be in play for a couple of weeks with us here, as we've seen already. Really good days for X. I'm going to add this one on here. Already, volume looks good, 401. Pre-market action starting to get better as volume is coming in here after 8 a.m. So hopefully these candles can get a little bit better there. They're up 2.5 in their daily. If you notice, their daily has been getting a lot better. Look at the moves here. Look at the candles we're connecting here. Some pretty nice wide body candles with some continuation. You don't have a lot of wicks in them, so they're ending the day, the direction they're heading, which is nice. So again, that could create some, and what that means is the reason we like that, guys, if you're thinking about it, is it creates good price action in the intraday. So if you go in here and you look at a smaller time frame, you're going to see you should see a very nice clean price action. Not always the case, but for the most part it is, and we've seen an increase in volume as well on X. INO this morning, again, they had a big gap down a few weeks ago in April. They've been just moving sideways. This morning they got some volume, 1.2, so that could be interesting. They're breaking out from their most recent highs after this gap down, which was at 736, so that could be interesting. Maybe they're trying to close this gap maybe. We'll see. Looks good.
So they had some news on a phase 2 COVID vaccine trial that they were working on. In addition to that, I'll go back to what I said about IPOE a minute ago.
Yeah.
25% short float, not huge, but it's pretty high. Could be another WSB target.
I agree. I think anything over 20, 25, it's obviously 30, 40, 60.
Starts opening some eyes. It's not 140 like, GME was or anything.
But, right.
Yeah. So,
but I agree with you 100%. So we'll keep an eye on this one, guys. Great volume right now, up 2.2. We missed one here. RHE, did we look at this one? I don't think we did. Guys, this is very low flow stock, sitting at 1.5. Be very, very careful. They're up 6.8 this morning. We're in the red for the most of the pre-market until about 8:30 or so. So breaking out nicely. We saw this last week just take some really great pops here. A lot of you guys took advantage of that. I'm going to put it here next to BNTX and also LEDs. Again, they're all three of these got to be very careful with the number of shares you take. As I mentioned, BNTX is not a low flow stock, but it is a risky type stock. So be careful there. Norm, anything? Oh, hold up, gap down. Let's take a look at this. Gap down. TTD this morning taking a huge drop here, down 10% from 700 down to 6 something. We've seen this ticker before in the past. It trades horrible. It is not the best intraday trading stock. So
they had earnings. They had earnings a few minutes ago. That is a $100 5-minute candle roughly.
Yeah,
I don't want to come anywhere near that.
Yes, $100 right here, guys. Boom. Just it's just be careful.
Fortunes can be made. Fortunes can be lost in the blink of an eye.
I don't like my odds there at all.
How do you control risk on that?
Right. And that's the thing. Look at the volume it's trading. I mean, it's only traded 112,000 shares, and you had that drop. So, all right. So you're thinking
$2 spread.
Yeah, exactly. Someone could come in here, and just drop 50,000 shares. You could have your stop here, even in a hard stop, guys. You could have your hard stop here with a limit, whatever market order. And if somebody drops 50,000 shares and brings his price $50, $70 below your stop loss, that's the slippage that you're dealing with. And if you look at the volume on this stock, for the most part, you're not getting a whole lot. Under 1 million every time it moves, even $25. So again, just not worth it, guys. And Dvax this morning, this is another one that's also a little bit on the riskier side, not as bad as TTD. I think nothing's as bad as that. They're down 8% this morning, 125,000 shares traded. Not looking great, but they are moving a bit here. Let's come back to that one. Let's come back to this. OCGN, this one this morning, I'm going to add this one. It's been very, very active. Yeah. It's been putting some really good plays in here. I know, guys, this daily looks horrible, but we've been watching this one very closely, and it's been trading well in the intraday. So keep an eye on this one. OCGN. Norm, have you traded that one at all in the last couple of days?
I traded a little bit last week.
Okay, yep.
I didn't trade much last week, but that was what I did. That was a little bit of it.
Yeah, I think you did a pre-market action on that one too, if I recall. VUZI, guys, this one is down 3.9 this morning. Pre-market action is okay. Their daily is it's decent. Looks like it's trying to lose some of it lost this great level at 21. Maybe it's looking to lose some more here, but it's not great though. Possible for now. And the last one, Dvax. This is another one that we've seen quite a bit in the past. Horrible trading stock. Look at how the daily is overlapping every single candle in the past. It just doesn't look great. So we'll skip on it for now. I'm sure we'll find something better than this morning. We got Workhorse and some other ones popping up here, but we'll stop here and see what the chat room has going on. Norm, what do you like this morning that we might have not covered?
I'm not liking a whole lot so far.
Same.
I mean, that's highly likely to change in the next 40 minutes before the market opens. But our sitcom friend Alf from last week is back. Not showing up on the gappers list. It had been earlier, but it's dropped below $5. Not shortable. So unless some volume starts to come in and it looks strong, I'll ignore it. Workhorse was not on our list when we went through the gap up list. It's now popped up. They had earnings this morning. Once again, 31% short float there, so it could be interesting. And then Cody. See, no, that one sucks. Sorry.
Yep.
So there you go.
All right, cool.
There's a couple for you.
Yeah, I do like Workhorse starting to get going here. We know the stock can trade very well. We had a lot of fun with this one in the past until it had this big drop. From there, has not done much, but could be a good one. Let's see if this can
Spread's
break
got to
out today.
tighten up. 12
Yeah,
cents on a $10 stock is not a pretty
that,
spread.
that is not great. I'm seeing 11 now. Yeah, even more. Yeah, it's not great. All right, guys, let's start with our chat room here. I'm going to start with Josh. You're giving us DKNG. Let's take a look there. DKNG this morning, they are down 1.1, 404,000 shares traded. They've been taking a hit, guys, the last couple of days. I mean, some pretty big red candles in here, just getting into a little bit of a downtrend as we can see now. Pre-market action is okay. We know this one is slightly difficult to trade. This thing was like wasn't it at 9? No, 70. Okay, $70 now at 47. So could be interesting, guys. I'm gonna put as a possible for the moment. Heading on down, we have PLTR. No, sorry. Yes, PLTR. There it is. PLTR this morning. I'm not seeing anything great out of PLTR as far as pre-market action right now. Volume, although it has 866, we know how much volume this thing can trade. I mean, it trades about 50 million or above 30 million per day, even when it's not in place. So 867 pre-market is not great. This pre-market action is not great. Been taking a nice little hit here the last couple of days as well. Could be interesting, but I'm going to keep it off for now. Let's look at XOM. XOM today. This is again, this for intraday is difficult to trade. They get volume, but I haven't had any luck trading this one in the intraday. So just be mindful of that. The daily's a little bit choppy, it's all over the place. I don't know if they're actually, I think they're foreign. It's ExxonMobil, right?
No, it's ExxonMobil.
So they're not foreign, right?
No,
I mean,
but so this is going to be a oil play.
Yeah.
As many people probably heard on the news, there was a hack on a massive pipeline that takes something like nearly half of gasoline and other petroleum products to the East Coast from here in Texas. So there are some price pressures associated with that. And, as we discuss these things, not that XOM can't trade sometimes, but really Oxy is usually the cleaner oil play if you're just looking at something in the sector to use as a proxy.
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm going to go with. Oxy, if there's a play there, this is the one I want to be looking at. So we'll put an Oxy on here. They're up slightly right now, 1.2. Daily looking okay. Great day on Friday. Let's see if they have any continuation left here. Let's look at American Airlines, some of the travel companies. American Airlines right now, I don't think they're really in play, guys. Again, it's just been, as you can see here, they've been chopping around. They're still pushing volume through as they would. They're very popular trading stocks through the intraday, but I just don't see anything great now. We are at the above this area of resistance, so that is a little bit interesting. If we can get some volume in here pre-market and get some movement, that could be nice. Maybe I'll add as a possible just to remind myself to take a second look at it later in the day. Maybe it's not a good one for the market open, but maybe after we'll take a look at that one. All right, so Oxy and Exxon we looked at. I'm going to keep Oxy on the list for a possible pipeline play today. Apple, let's take a look there. Apple's always great to watch, guys. So if you have a little space, just keep Apple on deck. I mean, it's been trading very well with the market, so just put that on there. Apple is fine. TLRY, we saw a lot of movement last week on this one. At the moment, what do we have going on? TLRY, let's take a look here. So a lot of movement last week. They had some news stuff come out. I think they merged with, what was it? Forget the other company. Yeah, exactly.
And that had been announced, but it finally went through. So
yeah, right now, looking at the numbers alone without knowing any news, I mean, this doesn't look great. With that news, hopefully they can get something going here. It's not new for this morning. It's already old news left from last week. So we'll see. But right now, I'm not seeing anything great on it. So I don't know how much impact this thing is going to have here on this stock. At the moment, I don't see anything great. So, all right, American Airlines. Yeah, American Airlines, I agree. It had a little breakout here last week. It's trying to get going. We'll have to see if it can hold this. But right now, it's just the volume on American Airlines is very light at the moment. We'll have to see what's going on there. Okay, yep, Apple is on board. Yeah, that's on there. That's good. PLTR, we looked at already. Well, what is the ATR levels for this filter? I believe we have 50 cents, right? Norm,
50
I think we do. 50
yeah,
cents,
50 cent ATR.
Yep. All right, TDT we looked at. I mean, it's just guys, that one is madness. So be careful with that one. Oxy's good. Piton. They took a big hit last week, right? Yeah,
they took a
couple of big hits last week, guys, and this was fun. Right now, volume is very, very light. Could be a good one later in the mid morning to take a look at. Right now, I don't see anything great. Might just chop around to figure out what's next for them after such a big hit here. All right, whatever else we have. P-Tom is good. Oxy is good. We have the American Airlines will be in place. I see a lot of you guys like American Airlines today. So yeah, let's keep it on here. Let's see what's going on. Right now, it doesn't look all that great, but I like the fact that a lot of you guys have some stuff on here as far as technical levels, breaking out of the 60-minute and so forth last week. We'll see what happens. All right, with that said, let's take a look at our YouTube friends here on our chat room. Let's start with Jose, POTR. Oh, we looked at that, Dan, the POTR. Yeah, we have POTR here. We do not. Let's take a second look at it. Is it getting better? I don't know. You know what? But a lot of you guys are throwing it out here. Let me take a second look at it. Maybe something I might be missing that I'm not seeing here on a POTR. All right, workhorse we do have that is on deck. VTRS starting to get going here nicely, up 4%. Let's check the float. VTRS. We are sitting at 1 billion, so it's massive float here. So all right, so up 4%, 333,000 shares traded. Daily is not going to look great, but it's popping up nice now. So let's see. Let's put it on here. VRTS. We'll come back to that one. Workhorse, we have DKNG. We do have down here as well. Did we look at it? Yes, we did. ANGI. No volume right now. Had a big red day on Friday, and also this stock overall doesn't trade very well. Look at the volume on here; it's very, very light. And the daily's just, man, this daily's all over the place, really. Look at the gaps, ups and down. Look at every candle overlap in the previous candle. So if you look at a daily like this, this is the stuff that we want to avoid at times. So that's not looking too good there. DTSS. Let's take a look at this one. DTSS starting to get going right now. 547,000 shares traded. We are up 28%. DTSS. I don't like the daily. This daily is brutal. It is a low flow stock, so the day doesn't matter as much, sitting at 6.4. But we got some good ones down here, guys. We have RHE. If you're looking for low flows, this one is traded very well. Got some good breakouts out of this one. BNTX is not a low flow stock, but it's been trading very nice the last couple of days. Very big moves here. And also LEDs today, I think, looks a lot better. And it's a former runner from last week. A couple of really nice pops here on LED. So if you're looking for a low flow play, you want to add these to your list. You can also add the one you just mentioned, DTSS. But again, I'm not seeing anything better than what we have down here right now. So that could change. But for the most part, keep in mind these if you're looking at low flow stocks. Apple is good. Roku. What we have in time? 3 minutes. Roku. Let's take a look here. Roku right now. I don't see it in play. Volume is light. Again, a massive drop over a week or two here, but I don't see it in play today. And we know Roku, it can look like this and trade very nice. It's a great stock to keep an eye on as far as scanners. So that's what I'll be doing with this one. But right now, I don't see anything explosive to put it on our list at the moment. Heading down, we have BA. BA was good yesterday. Not yesterday, on Friday. We had a big, nice pop on BA today. Possible continuation. Is there anything going on with the airlines maybe that you guys are bringing up? American Airlines and BA looks to be bouncing back a little bit here. But I just don't see anything great as of it right now.
Needs more volume for sure.
Yeah, we need more volume, exactly. Fubo earnings last week. This was active for us a couple of weeks back. I don't see, even with the earnings, I don't see anything great right now, guys, on Fubo. Volume is very light. It looks like it wants to get above 1% here, maybe above 100,000, but I don't see anything great on it at the moment. All right, we coming up on 9 a.m. here, guys. So let's stop here. We will look at some more in a second, but first let's go over to our community announcements. We'll come back and fine tune this list.
Yep. All right. So quick weekly rundown. Swing trade discussion with Brian at 2:30. He's been sending out a number of emails on some swing trades he's been making and such. Then, of course, you've got the live onboarding and technology classes that begin at 8 p.m. tonight. That is open to everybody. And then Tuesday, Thursday, you've got trade reviews with Eamon at noon, success webinars at 8 p.m. Wednesday night, 8 p.m., you've got psychology. Thursday, you've now got Thor's challenger, our very own Andrew Aziz, that is going to be doing a mentorship during the market day. And that's going to be in the lifetime webinar, or the success webinar room, the webinar room, after he finishes trading on Thursday, and then Thor at 8 p.m. with his mentoring session. So full week ahead here. And speaking of Andrew, he's going to be busy tomorrow night, 8 p.m. You're going to get a detailed guide into his what he has determined the 3 pillars of his trading strategy: technology, strategy, and psychology. He'll go through all that and essentially how he trades and how he works all those things together to have his his very own way to trade. I guess I'm still tired from the weekend, man. I'm a little scatterbrained. I apologize.
It's Monday, it's all right.
Yeah, it's Monday. Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, you've got Mike talking about handling the emotions of trading. And then next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m., you're going to have Nada, our mindfulness expert. Her presentation is entitled, "Let the Storm of Emotions Pass Without Drowning You." That sounds awesome.
It really does.
All right. If you want to participate in the member trade of the day, trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade of the day, mark it up, post it on Twitter, tagging @BearableTraders, @MikeB_BBT, and @NormBBT. Also use the hashtags BBT family, day trading, and stock market. We'll pick the best trade of the day. That'll be announced on Twitter in the afternoon. And then all those trades of the day are eligible for trade of the week, which will be announced on Monday on Twitter after the team votes on it. If you're looking to try the chat room and you haven't been in, you're watching us on YouTube, use the promo code PREMARKET24. It'll get you a discount off the intro membership, which is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. Does not auto-renew or turn into any other kind of membership. Just cancels. Also gives you access to the onboarding class I just mentioned and technology on Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. Mondays are always a perfect way to do that. Come in, look at the room for a little bit, take that technology class, set up or get an idea of how we do things, and then you've got another 4 days to run with it and try it out, see if it's a good fit for you. Also, if you're looking to become a member or upgrade your membership to Elite, use the promo code Memorial40. That'll get you 40% off the annual Elite membership.
All right, excellent. All right, guys, let's get actually wait, today is Monday, so we
It
have
is
Dr. Katz. Let's
our
go right to
very
that.
own Dr. Katz.
Good morning.
Dr. Katz in the house. Good morning, sir. I hope you had a great weekend. I saw you had some fun with Andrew and Mike and the guys. I don't know if you went to the actual meetup, but I know they stopped by to visit with you while they were there.
Yeah, it was a great time. Andrew and Mike came over on Thursday night to my house, and we had some nice adult beverages. And then we went out for a great Mexican restaurant. So it was all good.
Very nice. I kind of gave them hell a little bit because I guess they went out to have Texas barbecue multiple times. I was like, what? I can't even do that often. And you did, and there was no Tex-Mex. What is going on here? So at least you got them handled as far as that goes. So good to hear. Yeah. Representing Texas well. And so today you're going to be talking about flourishing this morning. So take it away, sir.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, we talked a bit about languishing, which Adam Grant wrote about, which is really this sense of stagnation that everybody's experiencing. And this past week in the New York Times, Danny Blum wrote an article on basically the other side of languishing, which is really called flourishing, and how people can really get there. And, you know, I think with vaccines on the rise and hope in the air, it's been a long year of trauma, and people want to know how long it will take before we feel good. And the post-pandemic, the answer to that question is really kind of in your hands. And research shows that there are some simple steps that you can take to recharge your emotional batteries and kind of a spark of fulfillment, purpose, and happiness. And this is kind of this combination of physical, mental, and emotional fitness is what psychologist community really refers to as flourishing, which is kind of the opposite of stagnation. So flourishing is really what we're all after, living the good life. It's an all-encompassing notion. Scientific evidence related to flourishing is robust, and numerous studies show simple activities can lead to an overall improvement in well-being. And so I thought I would mention a few practical tips and activities. The first step is really to assess yourself. Do you wake up ready to start the day, or would you rather go back to sleep, or do you have a sense of purpose? Or is it too much of your day feels meaningless? So we are all our own experts on our sense of flourishing. So the first step is really to assess where you're at. The second thing, which I've often mentioned, is the importance of savoring small things. In trading, acknowledge the small wins in your trading, the things that you're doing well. Savoring is important. For small, not just big things, tiny victories, try to acknowledge them. That helps you get a better sense of self. Some people try a Sunday dinner gratitude, create a weekly gratitude ritual. It could be daily. We've talked about sometimes at the start of every morning, maybe 3 things you're grateful for. They could be big or small. Do 5 good deeds. Try to acts of kindness or not only help others, but they help ourselves. Just to let you know, just this weekend, I went running, and on a big grass field, I found a guy's wallet, picked it up after my run, brought it home with me, did a little detective work trying to figure out a phone number for this person. It was a UT college student. I was able to reach his parents, got in touch with him, and the joy on this kid's face when he came over to pick up his wallet and not having lost all his credit cards and driver's license was enormously satisfying for him and for me. And then a big thing is looking for communities and connection. And this is where I think all of you kind of really, the BBT community is a great example of that kind of connection. It was wonderful for me seeing Mike B and Andrew at my house and going out to dinner. We have this distant relationship, but finally sitting around for literally 3 hours and just talking about a whole bunch of stuff and life and trading and different stuff was wonderful. So trying something new, connecting to people, branching out, hobbies, food, classes, reading a good book. These are all steps you could take to try to flourish and to combat the stagnation that a lot of people have felt for the last year.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people are in a weird place, and I'll tell you, I tweeted a video that Andrew took, kind of messing with Peter a little bit over the weekend. People out and about, and not so many masks, and clusters of people everywhere, and people are people are weirded out right now by that change, going back to what was completely normal 12 months ago. So very, very good points what you had there. Much appreciated, Doc. And
okay.
Hope you have a great week.
You too. Take it easy.
Take care.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Dr. Katz. All right, guys, let's get into it here. Let's take a look at what we have on deck. So we have quite a bit this morning. Let's kind of run through it and see what looks good to keep on here. Roblox right now up 2.4, 140,000 shares traded. Again, I think this one could be okay. Maybe more of a possible. X has been very explosive the last couple of weeks, so this is looking good. INO is it's got great volume right now. Very active pre-market activity, looking to break out here. Hopefully back into the 736 high from a couple of weeks ago. OCGN has been good to us. We'll keep it on here. Workhorse, man, look at the push up to 1065. And now we're slamming back down here. So let's see if we're going to hold the support at 950. This is looking very active. I definitely like what I'm seeing here. I do not like that we do not have any shares for short though. So that's unfortunate there. Oxy is more of a oil play. I might move this one down to a possible. VRTX is starting to really look good now. Starting to get going here. Nice pop, 5.4 right now. So man, this is going to be a tough decision to make because we don't have anything that looks overly great. Everything is so PLTR. I think I'm going to remove PLTR, guys, from my list just to make this smaller. Well, let's go through it first. Apple, I'm going to keep Apple on here. DKNG, I'm going to remove, guys. Just get rid of this one for now. ALF, I'm going to keep on here. Very active pre-market action this morning. VUCI, this one, so. Let's get rid of it. Volume is a little bit on the lighter side. Dvax, I'm going to remove just based on my overall a preference. This is not a stock I would prefer to have on my list. They are down 8% this morning. 200,000 shares traded, but again, it's just let's get rid of it for now. FXC. I'm sorry, FCX. This one here, pre-market action is just all over the place at the moment. This could be good though. It depends. Let's come back to that one. Valet right now here. What do we have? Right now they're up 4.7. Pre-market actions hopefully can get better. We'll see. IPOE. This one could be a good squeeze. As we talked about, the short flow interest on this one is pretty high, 30%. Pre-market starting to get better though. If you look at it here after 8:30, we're starting to see some nice candle connections going here. Had a good day on Friday. Let's see if we can get some good continuation on that one. AMC I'm going to remove. I'm sure somebody will be watching this one. They'll call it out if it gets really going. BNGO at the moment, I'm going to get rid of it. I like some other ones better on this list. Now, American Airlines, a lot of people throwing this one out here this morning, so I want to keep a close eye on it. I'm going to actually move it up here to make it one of my top possibles to always keep on the lookout. Right now, the volume seems very light for me, though, only at 409,000. We've seen American Airlines in play, and we're talking about, 700,000, a million, 1.5 million on it. But right now, maybe it's a slow starter today. We'll have to see. But what I do like, though, very much is this daily, guys. Look at this previous day close sitting at what is this, 2101 or so. You can see how great that level is. It was great resistance back in the beginning of March, right? Starting to get going. He couldn't break out of that. Then became support. And here in mid-April, you can see a lot of support happening there. And then since end of April till now, has been a great area of resistance. We're slightly above that now. The few times that we dipped, we popped above that, we were slammed right back down. So it'll be nice to see if we can go in here. This could be a nice show of strength. Also, I see some people mention there's some kind of interest also on the American Airlines and overall airlines as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. So that's good. As our possibles list, let's go through this main list one more time. I'm not fully convinced. Roblox we have. Roblox might actually be, you know what, a possible. We know how choppy this can be, so I'm going to bring that one down. I'm going to just bring that one for the moment as possible. We have X, which has been very nice to trade. INO is very active this morning. That's good. OCGN has been nice. I know it looks a little bit choppy now, but this thing has been trading very, very nice. Workhorse, interesting in what Workhorse is doing here in the pre-market action. The only thing I don't like, we cannot trade this both ways. So I'm going to bring this down. I do not have shares for short with Interactive Brokers. So I'm going to move it to a possible. It could still be a good long opportunity here. Also, shorts might become available later, but I'm going to move that one down. And let's see what else we have here. Let's see what we can move at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I got 5. I can move one more up. I think ALF looks decent as far as price action. Wow, FCX taking a big dive here, man. This thing can move. So careful with that one. Let's see. What else can we move up here? We'll keep 5 for now. Let's keep 5 for now. We'll fine tune a little bit later. I'm gonna go through our list. Maybe Apple. You know what? I like to have Apple because just the way this market has been, Apple's a good one to keep a very close eye on. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. All right, let's get levels done here. Let's start with X. X has been trading very, very clean. It's definitely back in play. High of the pre-market, 28.95. Above that, what do we have? We have not been up there in quite some time, if at all, right? It's been a while, at least 52-week high, looks like. Yeah, it's been probably this 2017, 2018, looks like. So 28.92.95 is high of the pre-market. You can see some areas of support around that price level. Above that, we have another level here, 29.90.88 or so, right on there. And then all the way up here over at 30.86. So 2 good levels towards the top, guys. If we get above that, we can go back and look at some more levels. But right now, we're giving some back, heading down towards that previous day close after a pretty good last couple of weeks here on X. Towards the bottom, guys, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days doing a pretty good job here. The only day I'm going to mark or level is going to be 27.17 off this date here. So I do like that one there. I'm going to mark that there. That's also showing some resistance right around this area as well. Look at the change in direction. We have a beautiful run here, then slamming right back down towards some of the moving averages. So I'm going to keep that 27.17. And after that, I don't think you need to add anything more on X. Here's INO, 1.3 million shares traded. We did mark this 736 here, which is was a somewhat of resistance in the pre-market. Now I'm going to add 750, which is the high of the pre-market. I'm still going to keep this 736 here, guys, because that was the last time we had some good resistance on the daily and we were not able to get above that. So still keep that on there. Let's see if we come back and test that here as we're trying to find a bottom. Now towards the bottom, low of the pre-market seems to be right here. I'm not going to mark that. Is that the low of the pre-market? 703. Yeah, 703. Now that's interesting. Why am I getting 703 here? Yeah, that's weird the way that's setting up. It looks like 703, but I'm getting lower than that. I'm getting 695. I'm not sure why this is showing 703. Let's just load that up again just to make sure this thing it's accurate here. Yeah, I'm still getting 703. Not sure why. Interesting. We'll have to look that up. Is anyone else having that problem too, or is it just me? So interesting. All right. As far as the daily, guys, towards the bottom, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. Yeah, you have it as well. All right, so something's wrong just with the way this is being marked here. But the low of the pre-market is pretty much this low from the high from Friday. Right, the high from Friday, 690, that's the low of the pre-market. And that's actually a more important level because if you look at this here, you can see how many touches you have on there. So yeah, Dan, you're seeing the same thing too. Okay, so it's not just my system, pretty good there. And then we'll see what it does here. High of the pre-market is 750. It looks like just this daily might be off. That's what it looks like. The intraday chart might be okay, and the daily chart might be off there. Here we go. OCGN, guys. This one has been very good to us. So let's go. I love the pre-market. We're looking at 862 towards the bottom. Highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, doing a pretty good job around the price action. Above, you have the previous day close as well. So I don't think you need to add anything more to this one. Let's look at a bigger picture outside of the highs and lows. You really have obviously 525, a very big level there. Over here, you have another nice level, a 665. I love this level here. Look at the area of support that you have around here. We went almost a month and a half or a month really just holding on to that support there and just really flirting with that 665 until we finally broke out of that. If we head towards the bottom, that could be another important level after the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. So that is OCGN. Great volume right now, 2.1. I know the pre-market action doesn't look good, but hopefully that's going to get better as we get closer to the opening bell. Here's Oxy, guys, a possible oil play today. We know some things out there as far as news. We have 27.98 is the high of the pre-market. We had a nice day on Friday. For the most part, they don't trade very well unless there's some news related stuff for overall market. So I definitely like to watch this one. It tends to be one of the cleaner intraday trading stocks when it comes to oil type play. 2110, another great level there as well. We also have all the way up here 30, and obviously these higher peaks over here 3118 and 3528. I don't think we'll get there today, depending how this thing is going to move. But you have your levels towards the top, and then towards the bottom, guys, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days doing a pretty good job. VTRS continues to take off here. So again, 3 green days last week back to back. Gap down, took off, gap down, took off, and same here again. Right now, high of the pre-market sitting at 1490. We do have 430,000 shares traded, but it's not fluid. You see the way this is moving. This doesn't look very good right now. So hopefully that does not go into the market open. Hopefully we get a better price action into the market open as the bell opens up at 9:30 here. So 1509, another great level up here. Let's mark that down. Above that, we do have a couple here, 1531, and obviously you got some more all the way up here at 1572, 1678. As well. Now towards the bottom, if we were to drop here, we do have a level right over here, great area of resistance, a little bit of support as well at 1441. Above that, you have some more days here as well. This one 1467, a couple of days opening and closing right around that price target and also bouncing off of that. So you got support and resistance at that 1467. Towards the bottom, the low of the pre-market, pretty close to the highs from last week and also the previous day close around 1416. I'm going to mark that there. But right now, this thing's looking really, really strong. We need a better pre-market activity than this, though, and hopefully a better market open. Here's Apple, the last one on our list. Again, this one's a little bit all over the place right now, but the way the market's been trading, you got to keep an eye on Apple. It can give you some really good opportunities. Low of the pre-market sitting at 129.60. Above that, you're stuck between the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days, really. So not a whole lot of levels you need to mark on this. Everything's already done for you with the 2 highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. Maybe I'll mark this one on here, guys. The closing of all these 3 days right on there, and the opening 128. Aside from that, that's also area of resistance going back into April. Aside from that, I don't think you need to add any more. Maybe towards the top, a couple of levels in case we take off. We have the very clear level of resistance around 135, and then we talked about the two ranges on this, right? We got the big range between 135 and 131. We see that right on there, the ping pong action. We also have a smaller range at a 133, right? 133, we kind of got into a smaller range, then back into the bigger range, and then back into the smaller range. So that 133.14 you also want to have on your list as well. All right, perfect. That is what we have, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube. Just we got some pictures I want to share. I know we're running a little bit on time, out of time here, but just want to show you guys the meetup. Here's the team. You have Mike starting from our left. You have Mike, John, Andrew, and Jared. They were down over at Texas. We appreciate every member that was able to make it as well. Here's some of the pictures of the team down there. Some of the members having some drinks and meals now as well. We have another one here. Let me see. Yeah, there we go. Nice one with the entire group there as well. Everybody looking very good here. Love it. And again, cannot wait to start having these meetups up here in New York as well. We definitely miss meeting with our members and meeting with our moderators. Us moderators, this is the way we meet when we have these meetups. So there's another shot. And then we also have, you go like this one, Norm. Look at that plate right there. How about that? I don't think that's vegan though.
I have heartburn already, man.
And also on Friday, Peter had the only FOMO on Friday. So he put together a very nice, quick and dirty virtual meetup. And that turned out pretty good. So that's a nice picture there of our members meeting on Friday. So good stuff, guys. Guys, if you're interested in checking out our community, definitely check us out at bareboottraders.com over on YouTube. We also have our online, a live webinar tonight at 8 p.m. So catch myself, Mike, and John is usually there as well. We'll go over our community, see if this is the right fit for you. So take care, guys. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. for Engineering the Markets. Take care, everyone.
Take care, guys. Trade safe.